Stick your finger up his bum. No, oh no. We've angled the piece face that way, or you might lose a digit. Crikey! Uh-oh. We've angered the beast. I might very well die. Oh, no.
Well, I'm back from the second annual Colorado Festival of Horror. This year had a Funhouse theme for reasons which may be obvious from the little introduction. Unfortunately, I didn't take that video, but you can find the source of the video down in the What's It. In fact, be sure to check the What's It for all kinds of stuff, including purchase links to some of the things I'm going to be showing off, as well as links to all kinds of interesting things. Anyway, I'm still exhausted, even now a couple days after the event. It was a blast. I'm going to make you all jealous as I start going through all this stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and just talk about things that I saw and did over the weekend, as well as go through the stuff that I've brought home with me. But really, the most important thing was that it was a great convention. I saw a lot of great people. I'm reconnected with a lot of people I've known. I met a lot of great new people. As I've said before, horror people really are the best people. In fact, I'm going to be making a video about that idea in the future too, so be sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss that. But horror people are great people. This is like spending a weekend with a couple thousand of my best friends in the world. So it was a great time, but I think over the course of the entire weekend, I might have slept about a grand total of 3 or 4 hours. So it's still taking me some time to recover. That having been said, I brought back a lot of great memories as well as some great things. So I'm going to kind of go through what the weekend was, and I'm not going to get to everything in quite the right order because I don't remember what order everything happened, but I'll tell you some stories and I'll show off some things along the way. So I was not just attending the event, but I was also kind of sort of working the event. I spoke in several panels and was just sort of helping out and making myself useful as much as I can because I know a lot of the people putting it on. I was there officially exhibiting with the Rocky Mountain Paranormal Research Society, and we gave, I think, together 5 different panels or events, and then I also participated in several others, so they kept me fairly busy. The weekend started off on Thursday. That was September 8th, 2022. I got to the hotel, got checked in, started getting everything set up for our events, and then we went over to the C Film Center downtown, where we were treated to the local premiere of Lloyd Kaufman's new movie called Shakespeare's Shitstorm. Itself was great, and sort of the general consensus among all of us who watched the movie at that screening was that this is the most Troma of all the Troma movies that we've seen in a long time. And if you're a Troma fan, well, that's a good thing. But the really exciting part wasn't just the opportunity to see the movie, but Lloyd Kaufman himself was in attendance at the screening along with Monique Dupree, who was one of the stars of the film. So it was great to meet both of them and have a good time. And you'll be seeing some photos pop up on your screen at some point during all of this so you can sort of see what happened as I'm talking about it. But one of the exciting things for me, as y'all know, I like to collect things. I collect autographed books and movies and things. So it was really great to meet Lloyd Kaufman, and of course I got him to sign my copy of Make Your Own Damn Movie. So he signed that for me there. I also picked up and got autographed the Toxic Avenger collection. Of course, I've seen all the Toxie movies, but I didn't have this collection, so that's a nice piece. And I also got him to sign my copy of one of my favorite films of all time, and that's Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. So we can see Lloyd signed that for me as well. So that's all wonderful things, lots of little treasures there. So then we went back to the hotel, and on Friday, we got up bright and early to start setting everything up. The rest of the way, I got my exhibitor badge, picked up my copy of the program, and of course the schedule of events for the weekend. And then throughout the weekend, I got a bunch of other little paper things, advertisements and business cards and things that you're probably not terribly interested in, so I'm not going to go through those all one by one, but it's nice to pick up all the things that people are giving away at a convention. And I also got a little button from After Hours Cinema. Of course, I picked up the new collector's edition pin. They're doing these pins every year. They have sort of one standard one and then a new one for each year of the convention. So this is the 2022 Funhouse edition. And we see Eugene Clark as Big Daddy in Land of the Dead. He was there. We also see Art the Clown, which, as you saw from the little introduction of this video, Art the Clown was also in attendance. So nice to have that little pin. Of course, I picked up the new t-shirt, which Dr. McCoy is wearing right now. You'll be seeing that probably better in the thumbnail of this video. I'm wearing last year's t-shirt. So lots of good stuff. And then, not necessarily related to the convention itself, but things that I got at the convention because I was meeting up with some people. A friend of mine brought me this, which is a little piece of mummy wrap from a Peruvian mummy, so that goes into my collection of oddities. Again, this wasn't for sale at the convention, but I met up with my friend who had it for me at the convention, so it sort of ends up in this convention hall anyway. Another person got me this poster for the movie The Hearse, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch The Hearse. It's a wonderful film. And she also got me this skull-shaped beer bong. Even though I'm not much of a beer guy, I love a skull-shaped beer bong. And, you know, I can pour whatever through it, but this is just too awesome. You gotta pour beer through it at least a few times. So that's a little treasure there. And then also this little voodoo skull and crossbones necklace. So those are nice little treasures that I picked up. Or rather, treasures that I was given. Another nice thing, speaking of beer with that beer bong, there was a beer associated with, a custom beer made by a local brewery for the convention. There was also a wine, and I got the Colorado Festival of Horror COFOH. COFOH stands for Colorado Festival of Horror. I got the COFOH Cab. It's a Cabernet. So I got one bottle to drink, as well as another bottle to just keep in my collection as a souvenir, because it's a souvenir bottle of wine. The drinking is fun, but I also wanted to have one to keep for myself. Some other little stuff that I picked up. I got this t-shirt from the new Candyman movie. Not as good as the Tony Todd one, but still a good movie, so I like having that t-shirt. It also came with this little pocket mirror. It says, "Say it, Candyman," on the front. And as you know, if you want to summon Candyman, you need a mirror. So they gave us this little pocket mirror that we can use to summon Candyman whenever and wherever we might be. So that's a nice little thing to add to my collection of oddities and memorabilia. Let's set those right over here. I also got a half-empty box of Twinkies, which is just a fun story. I like Twinkies anyway, so it's nice to have. But during the trivia contest, the way they kept score was when people got a right answer, we tossed out Twinkies. I was not running the trivia contest, but I was sort of helping spot people who were raising their hands and things. So at the end of the thing, there were just a few Twinkies left, and I managed to scam myself the box of Twinkies because, you know, I'm a fat ass and I wanted a Twinkie. And then on the Friday evening, that was September 9th, I participated in the charity raffle. I don't remember off the top of my head which charity it benefited, but I do recall it was a good cause, some organization that works on mental health issues. But the idea is, you know, you buy raffle tickets and you drop them into the buckets for whichever items you're interested in, and I entered a few of them. I ended up winning 2 of them. The first was this Mysteries and Tea collection. Let me open that up and we'll see what's all in here. Oh, they really sealed this up well. I actually already know what's in it, but I want to take it out so I can show y'all. Okay, that's open. So, it is a Mysteries and Tea collection, so of course the first thing is it has some tea. This is Harney & Sons Scottish Morn Black Tea. And It comes with a nice little teapot. Oh, and here's the lid for the teapot. So we'll put that there. And then it comes with just a bunch of mysteries. It has this, The Great Detectives collection. It has an Agatha Christie and a Sherlock Holmes DVD. The Agatha Christie one is a documentary about Agatha Christie, creator of Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot. And then we also have Sherlock Holmes London, The Investigation. So, an Agatha Christie documentary and a Sherlock Holmes film, neither of which I've actually seen, but I like both Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, so this should be a treat. And then, speaking of Agatha Christie, there's an Agatha Christie book. This is The Mysterious Affair at Styles. This is, of course, one of the Poirot mysteries. So, Hercule Poirot is one of my favorite detectives. I love everything I've read of the Poirot stories, short stories, and the novels. I don't believe I had a copy of this one. I have read it, but I didn't have a copy of it, so a nice little addition to my collection. Then we also have, let's put that plastic away, a nice little collection of other DVDs. We have Agatha Christie's The Mirror Cracked. This is a Miss Marple story. I've read most of the Marple stories. I've not seen this film. We then have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. This comes with 39 episodes and 4 feature films. And this is the entire 39 episode run of the American television series from, I want to say the 50s, was it? Let me see if I can find it on the back. Yeah, it looks like it was in 1954. So, I've not seen all of this. I've seen some of it. I did not have any of this in my collection, so, of course, another treasure. And then, of course, Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief. You can't go wrong with Hitchcock. In fact, one of the things we were talking about during the History of Slasher Movies panel that was given by my colleague at Rocky Mountain Paranormal, Bryan Bonner, and Jack Hanley, a historian. They did this great history, and a bunch of what they talked about was Hitchcock's work, particularly Psycho, and how it was one of the films. There's some debate about exactly which was sort of the first slasher, but it's one of the, we would say, proto-slashers, one of the inspirations for the slasher genre. This is, of course, not Psycho. This is To Catch a Thief, but Hitchcock could do no wrong. Every Hitchcock film is a masterpiece, and this is no exception. So lots of great stuff there. Then I also won this other raffle prize. This, as opposed to the Mysteries and Tea, is the Coffee and Games package. So it comes with, first of all, coffee. It has the world's strongest coffee from Death Wish Coffee Company. This is great coffee. And, you know, fresh coffee beans. Let me just smell it for a minute. You know, they always put the little vent on so you can smell it, and I'm in heaven right now. I love coffee. I'm even more of a coffee guy than I am a tea guy, although I do like both. And then we have, oops, don't want to break anything. We have some coffee mugs, some spiderweb coffee mugs. And both of these are the same, but nice big coffee mugs. They've got a nice little spiderweb design, perfect for a horror guy like me, and a perfect way to drink this excellent coffee that I got. So I'm pleased with that. But then, it also came with this. This is Alice Cooper's Horror Box. If you don't know what this is, it's a game. It's sort of like if you think about Cards Against Humanity, that sort of card game, but it's all horror themed. This is a game, I have never tried it. I've never played this, but I knew about it, and I've been wanting to try it forever. So when I saw that this was in one of the raffle prizes, I had to enter that one, and I'm thrilled to have won this one. Let me open this up, just take the wrapper off, and we'll just peek inside for a second while we're doing this. So inside we have, we have a little rule book, and there's some stuff, some extra little papers and adverts and things. But it has these question cards. So this says, I would survive the horror movie because I'm blank. And then everybody plays an answer card and you pick the best one. So answer card, we have things like the threat of being locked in the attic. We have reliving childhood trauma. We have the Willy Wonka boat scene. Or, let's see, let's find some good ones. A doll with a switch that's been set to evil. So it's all, it's Cards Against Humanity, but all horror themed. So this should be a blast to play. I've been really looking forward to trying this one for quite a long time. But as wonderful as it was to win all these wonderful raffle prizes and to add to my collection, and I'm thrilled with all of those, it's just not a convention without the celebrity guests. And this year, my God, they had so many people. I met a lot of great people, I talked to a lot of great people, and I got some autographed things from some of them. The guest list for this convention was amazing. The first I want to talk about was actually a group of 3 people, and it was Sarah French, Joe Knetter, and Jed Rowen. They were there to promote their film Blind and its sequel Pretty Boy. Blind has been out for a while, and I had seen it, and I love it. It's a sort of slasher movie. We have a masked killer named Pretty Boy, who's played by Jed Rowen, and he's targeting a blind woman portrayed by Sarah French. And Joe Knetter was also there, and he was the writer. He wrote it. So they were all 3 there, and I got them all to sign a little 8x10 of Blind, which is great. And I gotta say, I loved Blind. A lot of people know the movie called Hush that was on Netflix for a while. It's sort of a similar premise, but Blind is a lot better. It was a lower budget. It has not gotten the distribution that Hush did, but it's really a brilliant film. It's an excellent film. So I got Blind, this little Blind poster. They didn't have DVDs because there's a distribution issue, and so we're sort of all waiting for more DVDs to come back out, but that's okay. I've seen it, and I got the little poster. In addition to that, they were there partially to promote the sequel to Blind, which is called Pretty Boy. So I got the poster for Pretty Boy, and again, all 3 of them signed it. There's Jed Rowen signed it as Pretty Boy, Sarah French, who played Faye, signed it there, and Joe Knetter, the writer. So both of these posters are treasures. And I've got to say, I know all 3 of them a little bit. Joe and Sarah have both been on my podcast, which you can find in the link down in the What's It or at doyoulikescarymovies.com. Somehow we managed to get that domain name. I still am sort of flabbergasted by that. Anyway, they've been on our podcast. Jed hasn't yet, but he's going to be. So we sort of know these people. They're great people. I also picked up some of their other stuff. I got a book, Inspired Nightmares by Joe Knetter, and of course he signed it for me. This is a collection of short stories. He's written a lot of really great stuff. He also wrote a book called Zombie Bukkake, of all things, which I also have a copy of, and I had previously, so it's not in this batch. And then I got, Sarah gave me this copy and signed it for me. This is a film, it's a short film called Ancestor, and she stars in this movie. I've not seen this one yet, I just picked it up at the con. She's great in everything that she does, and I'm not going to say everything she's done has been great, because some of the movies they're always at least fun. Some of them have actually been great movies, like Blind. Some of them are just sort of fun, cheesy movies. I'm not sure which end of that this one falls on, but I always like to see her films, so I was really glad that she gave me this DVD. And then another one of the guests was none other than Lynn Lowry, star of The Crazies, George Romero's movie The Crazies, Shivers, a bunch of films. She's done, God knows, a million films. And she was there, and I brought my copy of The Crazies for her to sign, which, of course, she did. She personalized that for me. And she, posed for a picture, which you'll be seeing at some point on your screen. Great people, great person, a lot of fun to talk to. And then I also bought a copy of Shivers because I didn't have one yet, and she signed that for me. And then I saw a remarkable thing sitting on her table. She had this poster. And of course, she signed it for me. But not only did she sign it for me, but she had this poster that was already signed by George Romero. So I needed to have this, so now I have that in my collection as well. And that's a poster for The Crazies, as you saw. So another wonderful thing to add to my... I'm not much of a poster collector because books and DVDs you could just put on the shelf and they don't take up all that much space, but posters, even though they're very thin, they require unless you want to keep them rolled up, they require wall space, and as Dr. McCoy might be able to tell you, I just don't have any wall space. I've got bookcases lining most of my walls, and which ones aren't lined with bookcases already have art and posters and things on them. But, you know, for these ones, Pretty Boy and the Crazies, I'll make an exception. I will find a way. Of course, I'll frame them, and then I'll find a way to stash them somewhere. And then I mentioned that Eugene Clark was another one of the celebrity guests in attendance. If you don't know who I'm talking about, he played the zombie Big Daddy in George Romero's Land of the Dead. Another fascinating guy. Great guy. Got to talk to him a little bit. Then I got to sit in on one of his panels. He was doing sort of a Q&A. And people would ask a question, and then he would just go off for like 20 minutes, half an hour, talking about way more than the question entailed, which I'm not saying that in a bad way because it was always fascinating. He gave, in all honesty, one of the deepest, most heartfelt Q&A sessions that I've ever seen. He was talking about things like psychology and his upbringing and advice to students and how teachers can help reach students. And I mean, I can't even remember everything that he said, but it was really great. But of course, I also got him to sign my copy of Land of the Dead, which is, of course, it's a wonderful movie. It's a George Romero zombie movie. You can't go wrong. And he played a really fascinating character, Big Daddy the zombie. So just another treasure to add to the collection, frankly. Then another one of the guests was an actress named Sheri Davis, who starred in this movie called The Beast Beneath. I did not have a copy of this, but I bought a copy, and she was kind enough to sign it for me. I didn't even remember. She's also one of the stars of a film that I crowdfunded recently, so I have sort of a connection that I didn't even remember at the time, but has since sort of occurred to me. So a nice little piece for my collection. Again, I have not seen this film yet. She's a good actress. She's done some great stuff. This looks like kind of a lot of cheesy fun, which I love. So I'm really looking forward to watching this movie, and I'm really glad to have a signed copy of it. And then, not somebody who was there, but just a thing that I picked up. I ended up walking away with this copy of a movie called Blood Harvest. This was one of the giveaways that I ended up, I don't want to say winning, it was just a giveaway. I ended up with this one. But believe it or not, I didn't even realize this at first, but this is Tiny Tim. So this is an old horror movie starring Tiny Tim. I've not seen it. I don't know much about the film. This particular edition was put out by a company called Vinegar Syndrome, who was present. They were in the exhibitor's room. They're a great company that restores these old movies and gives them nice Blu-ray releases, sometimes 4K, sometimes Blu-ray, sometimes just DVD, but they make these really great, they do a great job of restoring these old films and putting them on these great versions. A lot of times these are sort of lesser known, forgotten films, but I'm thrilled to have this. I want to watch this, but I'm also just happy to have another Vinegar Syndrome movie in my collection because I've always been impressed with the work that they do. And I'm also thrilled to announce that they're actually opening up a local store for me here in Colorado. I've forgotten the exact date, but sometime later in September, later this month, they're going to do their soft open. So their retail location is opening up, which I'm thrilled about, but I'm also a little bit afraid of because I'm going to end up spending all my money there. But Blood Harvest should be a fun film to watch, and Vinegar Syndrome does great stuff. So another nice little treasure. Then one of the authors there was this guy, Louis Paul DeGrotto. And he's a local author, and there's kind of a funny story because he was in attendance last year, and he saw some of the production of the convention and some of the panels, and he wrote a book basically about the convention, but twisted everything into horror stories about the people and location. So it was a lot of fun. I don't have a copy of that book. I have one on order. It's on its way. But he has this other book. It's a collection of short stories called Spookable Tales. This is volume 2. And it's got a few short stories in it, as well as a couple of stage plays. And I don't remember if I've mentioned it much on this channel, but something I've been on about just in general for years is we need more horror on stage. Whether it's opera, like the Shining opera that I made a video talking about, or whether it's just a stage play, whatever format it might take. We need more horror on stage, so I'm curious to read these short stories and these plays that are in this book. But anyway, he was kind enough to give me a copy of the book and to sign it for me, so another wonderful thing for my collection. I've not read it yet, but I'm really looking forward to it a lot. Then before I show off the last things that I got, let me take just a minute to, I'm going to put some pictures on the screen while I'm talking, but just to express again how wonderful this event was. I got to meet a lot of fascinating people like Lynn Lowry, Lloyd Kaufman, Eugene Clark, Joe Knetter, Sarah French, Jed Rowen, Art the Clown, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, Damien Leone, the director of Terrifier. Wonderful people. Sheri Davis. I'm going to end up leaving too many people out, so I shouldn't even try to name everybody. But wonderful people in terms of both guests and attendees. It was just a great convention. The panels were wonderful. I gave some of them. We were telling ghost stories. We were talking about sort of the Rocky Mountain paranormal philosophy of paranormal investigation. We did an event that we also did last year, which was the Midnight Campfire Ghost Stories, where we sit in a hotel room and dim the lights and share a drink and share some ghost stories. That was a lot of fun. Really, it was just a blast from beginning to end. They decorate the hotel with all of these monsters, so as soon as you walk in, you sort of know you're among your own people. And if you live in Colorado, make sure you come out next year for the 3rd annual Colorado Festival of Horror. If you don't live in Colorado, consider traveling for the next convention, because it really is a great time. Anyway, one of the highlights for me, and sort of a real achievement, sort of an honor, was Damien Leone, director of Terrifier, and David Howard Thornton, who was the actor who played Art the Clown in Terrifier 1 and 2. Both of them were kind enough to come on our podcast, the Do You Like Scary Movies podcast. Again, there's a link down in the What's It so you can actually listen to the recording. But not only did they come on the podcast, but they were kind enough to come on our podcast in front of a live audience. It was in a small room, so we only advertised that we were doing a podcast. We didn't let people know who our special guests were, because otherwise we would have completely overfilled the room. So those people who came out just to hear our podcast, and there were probably 35, 40 people, managed to actually hear a live discussion with myself, Bryan Bonner, who's my co-host, and Damien Leone and Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, who are just the nicest people you'll meet in the world. They're great people. We had a great conversation, a load of laughs. I think one of the funniest podcasts we've ever recorded, and the first time we've done a live one, so that was just an honor and a lot of fun. And of course, at the end of it all, both of them were kind enough to sign my Blu-ray of Terrifier, and while I was there, I picked up this little original sketch of Art the Clown. This is not a print. This is an original. It's by an artist named Brian Peterson. So, of course, he's signed it. The artist signature is on there. But in addition to that, I got David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown, to sign the back of it. So, I love original art. I will say I like prints too, but original art is... It's original. It's one of a kind. It's something that nobody else has, and I really like to curate a small collection of art and put it on the wall and just enjoy these wonderful pieces. This is a small one, but it's going to find a place of honor, and to have Art the Clown himself sign this art is just wonderful as well. So I guess that's really all I have to show you. But as endings go, I think Art the Clown is a worthy one. Anyway, I've got some stuff to read, I've got some movies to watch, I've got some wine to drink, I've got coffee and tea, I've got games to play, I've got Twinkies to eat, I've got everything to do, and I'm still completely exhausted from the weekend because I was just going constantly. I was constantly on and constantly had things to see and people to talk to, and it was just, honestly, it was one of the best times I've had in a very long time. So make sure y'all come out to the Colorado Festival of Horror next year. I'm looking forward, I hope, to seeing some of you there. But until the next time, I'll have another video for you in a couple of days. I'm going to start doing my Halloween stuff. But honestly, come back next year for the festival. It really is a great time. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Do make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, ring the notification bell, do all those things that help me grow this channel. The more you can do that to help me, the easier it is for me to keep making these. And, you know, with more support, maybe I'll even be able to start cranking more of these videos out and doing them. You know, I do it weekly-ish now. Maybe I could even get up to twice a week if y'all can help me grow the channel enough. So please do all of those things. But the more important thing is, like I keep saying, come back to COFOH next year. I hope to meet y'all, and you really don't want to miss it. I think you've seen enough of what I've been talking about to make you jealous of this year and make you want to come out next year. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm rambling. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. So until next time, take care and stay scared.